If you can master handling these 5 objections, by the way, if you're a coach, this is awesome for you, but literally any business on the planet that does sales, where you're selling person to person, they all have the 5 same objections. There might be 20 versions of each one, but they're exactly the same. And I'm going to show you guys how to do something really cool. Instead of having to rebuttal an objection, I'm going to show you guys how to remove these from the sales process completely. So when you get to the end of the call and you ask somebody to buy your product, the only objection they could have is, can we pay it this way or can we do it in payments? There's never going to be all this other nonsense that you guys run into when you don't remove these at the beginning of the call. So let's just run through the 5 really quick, and I'm going to show you guys step by step how to remove each and every one of these throughout the sales process. If you haven't yet, by the way, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell icon, and let's just jump into this. The 5 objections every single business has. Number 1, not the decision maker. Number 2, no money. Number 3, no time or not the right time. Number 4 is want, and number 5 is need. If you want to add a number 6 on there, you can put like no authority or trust or belief. And I'll talk about number 6 as well, just because I know sometimes people are like, oh, people don't trust me. And unfortunately for me, I never had that problem. People just tend to trust me. I don't know why. It's just they don't feel threatened, I guess. So let's just start with the most important one, the decision maker. Now, when I get on a call with a business owner, because I sell B2B, if I was selling business to customer or consumer, I would have the same thing if I was talking to a husband or a wife. I say, hey, who else do you need me to invite to the call really quick? Like that's helping you with the business, like your business partner or your wife or your husband, or who do you want me to invite so that they can be on? Because on this call, I'm going to share some stuff with you guys that will actually help, even if we don't end up doing business together. Now, I did 2 very intelligent things when I said that to the person. Number 1, I didn't ask them, do you have a business partner? When you ask that as a salesperson, their mind immediately goes to, oh, they're trying to get us both on, so we have to make a decision. You don't want to raise people's defenses, especially at the beginning of the call, but really any time during the call, unless you're doing it tactically to challenge them and then bring them right back to a place that might even be a deeper place of trust for you and the prospect. So I didn't ask them, do you? I asked, who do you have? And then their answer is either going to be one of 3 things. Number 1, I'm the only person. I run the business. It's mine. My wife isn't involved, or I don't have a wife or whatever. So I am the decision maker. By the way, you see me with my thumb up. That's what that means. Awesome. Don't need to do anything else. Number 2, my business partner is actually busy. They're doing X, Y, and Z. It's good because you got information, but it's not good because they're immediately declining to get the person you need on the phone to be able to close the deal, which means you're going to have to postpone that meeting. And a great way of doing that, by the way, I've used this phrase hundreds of times, maybe even over 1,000 times at this point in my career. I just say, hey, can you guys just do a call in a couple of hours at like 3 o'clock? I want you guys to both be here. I've done this for 10 years. No disrespect, but like you're not going to repeat it as well as I can, and you're not going to be able to clarify as well as I can after hearing me talk about it for 2 minutes. So can you guys hop on the call instead at like 3 p.m.? And they either say yes or they say no. If they say no, no worries. What's a better time tomorrow? Keep pushing until they just commit. Say, actually, my partner and I are going to be in the office tomorrow at this time. Great. Let me just move the calendar invite we already have. What's your business partner's email so I can add them to the invite as well? And don't let them get off the phone without getting that. You want both of them on the calendar invite, so if both of them don't show up, it's on them, it's not on you. Now, the third thing that they could say is, yeah, let me get my business partner or my spouse on the phone. And that's equally as good as if they don't have one at all. The only downside is, a good way of thinking about this, every added person in the decision process is going to decrease the likelihood of the deal closing by between 25 and 30%. So if there's 4 partners, your chance of getting them to close on a 1 call offer is typically going to be pretty low. You might have at best a 10% chance, where with a single person you might have a 90% chance. So the decision maker thing, the way people go wrong in this is they don't ask, and they don't have a reason respecting way of asking. I'm going to share stuff with you that will help you in the business even if we don't do business together. So they don't ask, and then they get to the end of the sale and they ask the person to buy, and they say, yeah, let me just talk to my business partner. Can you send a proposal? Can you shoot me an email? Can you waste your time and my time, because I'm not going to read the proposal, I'm not going to check my email. So always, 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 within the first couple of minutes of the call starting, make sure to find out if they have a business partner or if their spouse is actively helping them in the business. Now, you got decision maker. I'm going to go through two at the same time, want and need. Now, it's important to understand, not everything people buy that they need, do they actually want. As an example, if you live in an area with a lot of like rats or bugs or something, you might need to buy, some kind of spray or trap or something like that, but you don't necessarily want to, right? Now, on the reverse is also true. There's a lot of stuff people don't need, but they want. The example I always use, my fiance wants expensive bags. She's like, oh, this pink Prada bag is $3,000. It's such a good deal. I'm like, it's a bag, dude. Like $3,000 for a bag is not a good deal unless that bag also cures cancer, But she wants it. And so when it comes to the actual sales process, there's basically 3 phases of the sales process. The beginning part is called discovery. During discovery, you have to ask questions to find out what their aspirations are, what their goals are, where it is they expect to finish by the end of the year. You have to ask questions to start kind of unearthing what is it that this person wants or needs. As an example, if somebody's in the process of being sued, their business is being sued, they might not want anything to do with that situation because it sucks, but they need some legal advice. So if you're a lawyer, you sell them legal advice. So you'll uncover things as you go, and if you really understand your offer, your service, and as a coach, if you created the offer, you better understand how it works, right? But for any business out there, whatever your offer is has to be clear enough that you're like, oh, I see they've got the problem, I can insert my product there. It makes sense to put that there because that solves X, Y, and Z problem. So want and need. And by the way, I've had clients that have signed up for a $100,000 coaching offer that the only thing they wanted was to become famous. They don't need to become famous. In fact, nobody that knows their business knows that they own that business. They're not even connected to the money side of being, quote unquote famous. But for them, they've made a lot of money. They feel like they could help a lot of people and they know a lot of things. They want to get famous. So sometimes I'd be in the middle of talking to them about how we could help them make more money and do all this stuff. And I start noticing they keep saying like, yeah, I just really want to grow my brand. I want to grow my brand, which as a person, a personal brand, they're saying, I want to be well known. And so what happens is, if you're asking good questions, if you're digging in, you can find out what the needs are and you can find out what their wants are. And as a salesperson, your job is to then connect those needs and wants in your pitch, which is the end of the sales call. You have the discovery, you have the challenging or removing any additional obstacles, and you have the pitch. Or you could call it challenging or educating. So in the pitch, you then tie all of the benefits of what it is you're selling back to their wants and needs. And the great thing is when you do this correctly, when you pitch them, you can personalize the offer to them, especially like with coaching businesses or consulting businesses. You just add the things that they want. And if the cost of fulfillment is low, in e-com, this is called COGS, cost of goods. If the cost of goods is low, just add it in as a bonus. Hey, normally people pay $1,000 for this. If you're willing to just get started today, I'll just throw it in for free because I know this really means a lot to you. I know that you want to grow your brand or you want to do this, you want to do this. So the thing that you're doing in discovery is you're removing the objections as you start to understand their situation, but you're also setting yourself up that you know at the end of the call how to tie the offer and the benefits of the offer back to their wants and needs. So we've discovered, they're the decision maker, or they got the other decision maker on the call. We figured out how to handle wants and needs, okay? There's 2 other objections. By the way, if you guys haven't yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon. By the way, I will never make as much money from YouTube. I don't know if you guys know, YouTube doesn't actually pay that much as you guys will make if you actually implement this in your businesses. So do yourself a favor, do me a favor too, but do yourself a favor and make sure to subscribe. And if you're interested in taking your sales game to the next level, I've condensed my 15 years and over $25 million worth of one-on-one sales into a 23 module training for you guys. Just check the description or go to stealthcloser.com/start. So we've got decision maker, want, and need out of the way. Now we need to talk about money and time, and we can get into trust too. So when it comes to money, here's the thing. If you're selling business to business, you just ask, what's gross revenue? What's net? What do you guys keep cash on hand to scale the business? Either into new campaigns, new advertising, new promotions, new partnerships. What do you guys keep in cash in the business? And they'll tell you. They'll literally tell you. It's the coolest thing in the world. You just ask people. It's like in the Bible. It said, ask and you shall receive. You just ask and they tell you. Now, if you're selling business to consumer, you're selling to, some single mom at home or something like that. You could just say, hey, what's income for the year look like, total household income? And they might tell you, and you might find out they have a couple of kids. You should just be plugging those numbers into ChatGPT or Claude or any other AI and asking it to approximate how much cash that person would have in the bank on average. Or you could Google ahead of time and find out that the average American has about $8,000 in savings. This is as of March of 2026. And just kind of guess based off of that. Now, this is a super important thing to understand with money. Just because somebody has $8,000 doesn't mean they're going to spend $8,000. Most people will only spend about 10 to 15% on the high end of their income or their cash on hand. So somebody who has $8,000, they're going to spend between $800 and $1,200. So in your own mind, you don't wait for them to tell you at the end of the call, oh, I can't afford to spend $6,000. You plan ahead what you're going to pitch based off of what they're most likely to buy. Now, if you're talking to somebody who's like a high energy, low risk aversion kind of person, and they're like, dude, this one time I started this business, I actually sold all of my stuff and I lived in my car for 6 months. That person might do 20%. They might pay $1,600 to $2,400, but they're typically not going to go all in on an offer. And in the coaching space, if you have something good, you shouldn't be putting people in the situation that they have zero money left, unless they're literally like, I want the best thing ever and I'll spend all my money on it, and they say those words. Do not be ethical. Don't talk people into, oh, now I have no money. How do I build this business? I got to spend $400 getting my LLC and my state filings. I got to pay for a website. I got to pay for a website hosting platform like Go High Level or ClickFunnels or whatever. Like, you end up in this situation that they don't have the money to do the things that you're trying to help them with. So be ethical about the money side of this. A good rule of thumb is about 10%. If somebody is extremely risk averse, maximum you're going to get is about 5%. So with that $8,000, you better pitch them a $500 product, because they're not going to spend more than that unless you want to talk to them 30 times to get an extra $200. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And some people are like that. By the way, a large percentage of people aren't going to buy anything that is above $1,000 without multiple touch points, which is part of the reason why. And I know this is about objections, but I want to, pull out a little bit from the minute and point something out important to you guys. You need to get a lot of touches in if you want to close deals. And you can do that for free on this place called YouTube. You can do that for free on this place called Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn. There's all kinds of places that you can promote yourself for free. So instead of hoping that they're just going to trust you, and how many of us have been told when we were kids, don't talk to strangers? So don't assume stupid things. Oh, they'll just trust me. Instead, plan for it and start promoting. And if you're an employee in a business, by the way, build your own brand. The greatest thing about that is one day you might have a big enough brand. You could do your own thing and be making money almost from day one because so many people know, like, and trust you already. So don't think this is just for the business owners. If you're an employee and you're watching this video, start building up a brand. Show people how you help your customers. Show people how you close deals. Show people how you're, building a cool life as a salesperson. Like, do interesting things and show it to people so that when you get them on the phone, you hit, hey man, and this is the trust part of this that we were talking about with the trust objection. People don't trust you. They say things like, I'm not really sure, or, your company's kind of new, or it sounds like you guys have only been in business for a little bit. Things like that are them saying, I don't really trust that you guys can do what you're saying you can do. A good way of getting that out of the way is to say, hey man, I'm just a normal guy like you. I just happen to figure out a really, really efficient way of solving this kind of problem. And look, let me send you this. And then you text them while you're on the phone. Go check out my Instagram. Like, just do me this quick favor, okay? Let me send you my Instagram. Go look at that. And maybe you've got 5,000 followers or something. Maybe you've got 10 or 20. Maybe you've got 100,000. When they see that and they see, wow, this guy's posting all this stuff. He's posting motivational videos. He's posting, this kind of stuff. He's showing himself doing his job. He's showing happy customers. All of the distrust just disappears. It just dissolves. And so we've got 5 objections there. We came up with 6 when it comes to trust. So we've got, just to review, you guys, by the way, should be taking notes. So to review, decision maker, want, need, money, you could say trust, and then the last one is time. Now, here's the thing about time. The most successful people in the world who are making billions of dollars a year have exactly, this is gonna sound crazy, exactly 24 hours in a day. When they first started whatever it is that made them really rich, they had exactly 24 hours in a day. You guys see what I'm saying here? Everybody has the same amount of time. And if what you're suggesting to somebody can't fit into their schedule, what they're really telling you is you haven't convinced them that it's worth it to change. And I'm going to talk very specifically to those of you that are coaches or consultants. Your job before you change somebody's life is to change their mind. If you don't change their mind, you can't change their life, and they basically stay the same or get worse, or even worse for you, they buy from somebody who was able to convince them, and hopefully they get the results they're looking for, because if not, they actually are worse. They spent money and their life didn't change. And so a lot of people struggle with sales with like, I don't want to be pushy. It's like, hey man, if you can really change somebody's life, you just got to do whatever you got to do to get them to buy, get them to commit. Because if you can change their life, and the only reason you didn't was because it made you a little bit uncomfortable to be pushy, you actually said, I don't like being uncomfortable, so I'm okay with this person's life being less good than it can be. See how wrong that is? That's pretty messed up. Try not to cuss so much. So when it comes to time, the thing to understand is when you're doing your actual pitch, part of being persuasive is demonstrating to people how fast, how easy, and how fun doing whatever your product is does. See that? Fast, easy, fun. So when you're pitching, if it doesn't sound like it's gonna be fast, it doesn't sound like it's gonna be fun, and it's too damn complicated, you, as a salesperson, as the coach, as the business owner, You have to go back to that script and say, how do we make it really clear that if this person buys this product, it's going to get this result in this very short time period with minimal effort from them. And not only that, they're going to have so much fun. They're going to go on an extra vacation, or they're going to be showing off to their friends, or they're going to be doing this. You have to pull the emotions up out of people. People are so suppressed now from all of this time they've spent watching everyone else live their dreams that nobody's got a fire inside of them anymore. They're just like, oh, I see all these special people on the internet making their dreams come true. What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with most people. It's just that they think there's something wrong with them. So you have to be like, the way I think about sales is if you have a great product or service, you can really help people solve problems, okay? You should be excited. You should be having fun. I told you guys earlier, I've never had the problem of people not trusting me because I speak plainly. I just tell people the truth. I will tell people stuff and I'll literally tell them, I'm saying, hey, I probably shouldn't say this because maybe, it makes you less likely to buy or something weird like that. But I just want to be honest with you. Like, this is how this works. This is what it's going to take. And here's the thing. It's going to be uncomfortable when we start. Every new thing is uncomfortable. Everything. When you're a little kid and your feet were growing, you got a new pair of shoes, they were always uncomfortable because your feet would still slide around a little bit because you were in between sizes. But after a couple of months, they fit. It's just like that. It's the same thing. So you have to be, I'll leave you guys with this. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell button. Let me leave you guys with a piece of training I got when I was brand new to sales. I had maybe 1 year experience, and I was working at LA Fitness in Redlands, California. I had a 2-year-old son. He's now, 13 years old. I had a 2-year-old son. His mom wasn't working, so I basically left in the morning and I didn't come home until it was dark. I would leave right after the sun came up and I'd come back right after it went down. And the sales trainer, his name was Lance, and Lance was a beast. He would say stuff that I couldn't believe. It was nuts. It was wild to watch this guy work. But he did a training one time on a Saturday. They got 3 different clubs. All the salespeople went to one club and Lance did this training. And I'll never forget this. 15 years later, I still remember this. He said, as a salesperson, you're either the fountain or you're the drain. And I raised my hand because I wanted to know what he was talking about. And he's like, yeah, what's up, Jeremy? I was like, what do you mean? Like, what does that mean? And he's like, you ever seen a fountain out in public? Like, there's water coming out of it. And I was like, yeah, of course. He's like, you ever notice what people do? I was like, yeah, they go sit by it. He's like, what else do people do with fountains? He's like, they throw money in it. And he's like, exactly. So you're either the fountain and people are throwing their money at you, or have you ever noticed when they pull all the water out of those fountains, nobody goes by and nobody throws money in it? So you gotta pick. Either you're the fountain, you're exciting, what you're saying sounds easy, it sounds fast, it sounds like it's actually gonna be a great time even if it requires a lot of work. It feels good to the other person on the other line. They feel like, man, this person really gets me. They understand where I'm at. They understand what I need. They're not scared to push me a little bit. This guy feels like, if you're a salesperson, by the way, you're kind of a coach. You're coaching people through a new situation and guiding them into a new just way of living, a new zeitgeist, a new philosophy, okay? So you have to decide, I'm going to be the fountain on every damn call I do. I'm the one that's drawing the people. They're throwing the money at me. And if you like, positive visualizations and stuff, just visualize. If I'm exciting and I'm excited to talk about this product or this service or this offer, if I'm excited, I make it simple, I make it fun, I make it easy and fast, they're going to throw the money at me. I'm the fountain, okay? So that's how you overcome all 5 of those objections, technically 6. And here's the thing, you guys. I want you to understand something. Removing an objection is always better than trying to rebuttal an objection. If you are, let's say you're married and you're thinking, man, I'd love to, make love to my wife tonight. I want to get lucky. You know what I mean? You're thinking that, But there's a hard conversation that you have to have with your wife at some point during the day. You guys had a talk and you guys wanted to sit down, maybe your finances need some work or something else is going on with your kids or something else. Do you want to try to get lucky in the middle of that conversation, or would it be easier to get that conversation out of the way early on in the day so you've got the whole rest of the day to sweep her off her feet? The answer is pretty obvious, right? It's the same thing with objections. Why would you wait? And then right when you ask the question, now he's got to think about it. It's not the right time. They don't know about the money, their partner. Nobody wants to deal with that. And the crazy thing is, when you run your sales calls this way, when you get the objections out of the way early on in the sales call, the crazy thing about it is you'll have people start telling you, I never felt like I was being sold. And that's when you know you are onto something big as a salesperson. If somebody says that to you, I would encourage you, go back and listen to that conversation 100 times and take detailed notes. Because if you can replicate that, you will never in your entire life struggle to make money. But you have to get the hard questions out of the way early, so the excuses and the objections and the I don't knows and the hemming and hawing doesn't happen after you ask them to buy. After you ask them to buy, they either say yes, or they say, well, can I pay this way, or can I do payments? And you should have those options ready ahead of time. With that being said, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys on the next video.